Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Belle. I want to make sure that's recorded. Belle, you always keep us on track. So very much appreciate. We are starting this next meeting of the City of San Diego's Commission for Arts and Culture on February 25th, 2022 at 11:34. Thank you, everyone. My name is Rebecca Smith, and I get the privilege and the honor of serving as vice chair for this commission. And I do want to just let everyone know thoughts and prayers for our chair, Ann Bosler. She is with family right now, and as we know, just lots going on in this world. So just appreciate that. I do want to make sure that we all know to keep our videos on for transparency throughout this meeting, and we also will have our city staff do the same too. So I'm going to do a roll call, and then I've queued up my friend Commissioner Whooper to do mission and vision later, but here we go. Roll call. You know the drill. Unmute yourself. Let us know that you're here by saying present, and we'll go from there. Commissioner Blevins. Commissioner Brown. Commissioner DeCenzo.
Present.
Yay. Hi, Tracy. Good to see you. Commissioner Frank. Commissioner Frank.
What? Hello?
Your volume, Commissioner Smith, is a little bit off on your audio.
I can't hear Rebecca, but if she's calling me, Commissioner Frank is present.
Vernon, thank you for that. Yes, trouble with the technology right now. Commissioner Friedman.
Present.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner Hughes.
Present.
Commissioner Jackson.
Present.
I do not. Commissioner Nwana. She is teaching still. Commissioner Poutre.
Present.
Good morning. Commissioner Sean Brown, I believe, is absent today, and Commissioner Whooper. Commissioner Whooper.
Present.
You are there, and this is a perfect time for you to read for us, if you will, our city's mission and vision for the Commission for Arts and Culture.
Okay, so our vision: expanding our world by celebrating creativity in San Diego. And our purpose: the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture serves in an advisory capacity to the mayor and city council on promoting, encouraging, and increasing support for the region's artistic and cultural assets, integrating arts and culture into community life, and showcasing San Diego as an international tourist destination.
Thank you, Commissioner Whooper. Once upon a time, you used to have that memorized, right?
I still do. Zoom is fraught with flaws.
All right, no worries. I also want to recognize that today we have our city staff, including Executive Director Jonathan Gless, Chief of Civic Art Strategies Christine Jones, Project Manager Belle Reza, Senior Arts and Culture Project Manager Deanna Agostini, Senior Public Art Manager Chuck Miller, Civic Art Project Manager Laura Bullock, and Arts and Culture Project Manager Kip Eischen. So before we get into the agenda, I do want to call on Belle to run us through the guidelines for today's meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Hello, commissioners. We are conducting this meeting as a Zoom webinar that is in an effort to provide greater accessibility. Members of the public may now join the meeting as webinar attendees in order to provide virtual, not agenda, meeting comment in real time. Commissioners, for you, this meeting will be like any typical Zoom meeting. Just please remember to keep your self muted when you're not speaking and to unmute yourself when you are speaking. Please also remember to keep your chat window open. That is how you will signal that you'd like to speak. And please refrain from using that chat for anything other than signaling you'd like to speak in order to comply with Brown Act. And Commissioner Smith, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. I also wanted to let the public and let commissioners know too, we wanted to, at the top of this meeting, actually do a switch. We're going to move the presentations. So Susanna and Lori, just letting you know, we're going to move the presentations to after all of our agenda items. And then that way we can really just focus on there. We also are going to do a switch. I will need to be stepping off the meeting and Commissioner Hughes will be taking over for the later part of the meeting as well. Belle, is there any non-agenda public comment for this next section?
Nothing was submitted, but to those members of the public in attendance, please click the button to raise your hand to indicate that you would like to comment. I will enable you to speak and you'd send you a prompt to unmute yourself in order when I call your name. Please state your name for the record and you will have 3 minutes to provide comment. After which you will be placed on mute again. If you're joining via phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. I will call on you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. So please raise your hand now if you'd like to provide non-agenda public comment, and I'm going to allow, let's see, 1 second. Go ahead, Peter.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Chair Smith and Commissioners. The Balboa Park Cultural Partnership, in association with many key public and private partnerships, is really excited to announce that a team of national firms have been selected and are in the process of being contracted for the development of a really important key visitor experience plan for the Balboa Park Cultural District. Balboa Park Cultural District stakeholders realise that 2 critical issues must be addressed: the disparate, unconnected nature of the multiple visitor experiences and the barriers that have been erected that prevent the cultural district from being embraced by all of San Diego as a tri-national region. Each of these issues has its roots in the history of the cultural district itself. Cultural district partners and stakeholders wish to develop an experience plan that incorporates, heightens, and optimizes the current elements found within the cultural district, while incorporating new opportunities to arrive at an integrated, inclusive, uniquely San Diego visitor experience. Recently, as I advised previously, the Cultural Partnership formed an advisory board of some 31 members from throughout the region as a way to broaden connections throughout San Diego and to ensure that planning for the cultural district is reflective of our local heritage and culture. In relationship with the experience planning effort, this board participated in selecting the firm and will also be heavily engaged with the selected companies to fulfill the inclusion, diversity, equity, and access aspects of this experience planning work. Finally, I'd like to also advise the commissioners that May 18 has been set as the revised date for the Trustees Connected event in Balboa Park. As key stakeholders for arts and culture in San Diego, we welcome you to attend so you may talk about arts and culture issues, about Balboa Park, and other matters of importance with fellow trustees. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then you have one more.
Good morning, Commission. Thank you for having me. My name is Christine Martinez, and I'm a member of Arts and Culture San Diego, which has more than 100 partners of arts and culture organizations throughout San Diego. I'm pleased to share a little bit about an event my family and I attended this weekend. It's the Black Comics 2022 event at the World Beat Cultural Center. You know, we've probably all seen Comic-Con or been to parts of Comic-Con. I was very surprised to go to Black Comics and know that there was an event that was specifically about the Black community. It had Black artists, Black creators, and stories that featured Black heroes and Black characters. So I was really pleased to be able to take my family to that. It was just another example of, you know, the wonderful cultural events that are happening throughout our city in Balboa Park and throughout the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, for your comments. It's always great to see what families can do around arts and culture in our city too. And as I was going to say to Peter, always great for you to join our meetings. And May 18th, commissioners, please, please, please mark your calendars. Super fun event and really great for us to be there.
And we do not have anybody else raising their hand for public comment, but I just did want to note that Commissioner Schonbrun has joined the meeting as well.
Welcome. Do I need to do a formal call her in, say present and all of that, or is she good to go?
Your audio is a little bit off again.
Audio is off again. Do I need to call her in to say present, or are we good to go with her on?
No, we're good to go.
Awesome. Moving on to the chair's report then, I want to make sure everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our January 28th commission meeting. And see if anyone wants to make a motion to approve these minutes.
I so move. It's Fritz.
Thank you, Commissioner Friedman. Oh, and then this is the other time when I will remind everyone, of course, speak. Put that in the chat and I'll call on you. We're all good for right now. We'll give you the new card on there, Commissioner Friedman, but yes, speak in the chat. Commissioner DeZenzo.
I will second.
Thank you. Anybody else, anyone have any comments then on these meeting minutes? Bell, any public comments?
To those members of the public in attendance, please raise your hand now to indicate that you'd like to speak. Seeing none.
Any comments on the minutes? All right, then I will go ahead and call for a vote to accept these minutes. Again, you know the drill. Commissioner Blevins, who's not with us. Commissioner Brown, also not with us. Commissioner DeZenzo.
Yay.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Frank.
Yay.
Commissioner Friedman.
Yay.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Jackson.
Yay.
Commissioner Nuana is not yet with us. Commissioner Poutre.
Yay.
Thank you. And Commissioner Schonbrun.
Yay. Did you say Schonbrun?
Schonbrun, yes, thank you.
Yay.
And finally, Commissioner Rupert.
Yay.
Thank you. As I noted before, we are going to move our presentations to the later part of our meeting. So I am going to move to our agenda items, which will then get us to our action items as well. For policy and funding, we did not meet recently, so I'm going to go ahead and move to our public art committee, which does include an action item. Before we do that, we do need to see about any conflict of interest. So I'm going to go ahead and call for any conflict of interest. If you do not have anyone, again, say no conflicts. If you do, please let us know that conflict and we'll go from there. So before moving to that item, here we go again. Commissioner Blevins, not here. Commissioner Brown. Commissioner DeZenzo, any conflict?
No conflicts.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Frank.
No conflict.
Commissioner Friedman. Commissioner Friedman, any conflict?
I can't hear.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, here we go. There we go. Any conflict of interest on this item, Commissioner Friedman?
No conflict.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes, any
No
conflict?
conflicts, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Jackson?
No conflict.
Thank you. Commissioner Nuana, not yet with us.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, Commissioner Poutre.
No
Commissioner
conflict.
Poutre. Thank you. Trying to watch the technology on my screen. It lets me know when I'm actually on or not. So I apologize. Technology does not always serve us. Commissioner Schonbrun.
No
any
conflict.
conflicts?
No conflict.
And Commissioner Whooper.
No conflicts.
Thank you very much. All right, so forward here, and again, I know we are doing a shift here. So Belle, I'm going to go ahead and call for Can I go ahead and switch to Tyler, or should I go ahead with this action from here?
We're just gonna do just one action item ahead of everything else, then we'll move to presentations
Move.
and go back to the meeting structure as outlined in the agenda.
Right on. And again, Tyler, thank you so much for stepping up on that. All right, turning over to Commissioner Frank for our Public Art Committee with the action item.
Thank you and good morning. Public Art Committee, where the action is. We have one action item from February's Public Art Committee meeting. The action is final artwork proposal for Mira Mesa Community Park by Kate Clark. The Public Art Committee recommends to the Executive Director of the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture accept the final artwork proposal by Kate Clark in fulfillment of the City of San Diego's collecting mission, collection scope, and accession criteria. I'd like to call on Chuck to give an overview of the project and recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Frank. Good morning, commissioners. So just to get right into it, this slide is up as a reminder for as an overview of the public art development process. And today we are on the second to final step. This project has been reviewed for feedback by the Public Art Committee twice during its development in the preliminary idea and schematic proposal phase, and was presented a third time for recommendation at February's Public Art Committee meeting. Next slide, please. So the project is the public art to be included with the phase 2 improvements to Mira Mesa Community Park, and this is a regional overview to give you a sense of where that is. Next slide. Zooming in, the improvements in question will be in the green space in the upper right, just below the baseball fields in the image. In addition to public art, the improvements will include a redesign of the park plaza area with new landscaping, a new aquatic center and swimming pools, new playgrounds, improved athletic fields, and a new skate park or all wheels facility. Next slide, please. The artist who has been commissioned by the city for the public art to be included with the improvements is Kate Clark, who is a multimedia artist whose primary focus is on people and communities and their histories and artifacts, and parks in particular, and works under the umbrella of parkeology. Next slide, please. So this is the site of the project in the currently existing park. Next slide. And this is a schematic of the redesign and improvements. Next slide. And so zooming in, the project will replace and serve the same function as the shade structure that was originally part of the improvements, circled in red here. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, thank you. Perfect. Yeah, there we go. So the artist in the beginning of her research, the artist noted that Mira Mesa's landscape is mostly flat and there is an abundance of sun. These are views of the territory before its relatively recent development. Next slide. So the primary inspiration for the project comes from Mira Mesa being a highly diverse community, and the project responds to the cultural landscape. The park that is being improved is otherwise the site of numerous annual cultural celebrations throughout the year. Next slide. And these celebrations frequently have cosmological and mythological connections. Next slide. And the artist is also responding to the practical desire for more shaded spaces within the park, and the park redesign currently includes the removal of an existing gazebo. Next slide, please. So the final Shadow Grotto project will provide shaded spaces and function as a kind of shadow projection theater of sorts. Next slide. So this is an overview or a schematic of the Shadow Grotto in the context of the park improvements design. You can see it here in the bold outline. Next slide, please. So the designs for the perforations that enable the shadow projections were developed in collaboration with area youth. The artist partnered with a local arts organization to host a series of workshops with cultural cosmology as well as local flora and fauna as a theme. Next slide, please. So these workshops took place this past summer, and it functioned both as a learning experience for the youth involved, as well as an opportunity for the artists to develop a deeper connection with the space and community. Next slide, please. So this is just some more evidence of the workshop process with the involved youth developing the designs that would be built into the artwork. Next slide, please. And so in culmination of that, this is an overview of the final design. In this elevation, the upper portion is the roof, and the lower portion will be the vertical side of the artwork. It was worked out in collaboration that the roof would include images of sky dwellers, and the vertical wall would feature terrestrial themes. Next slide, please. And finally, the project will include lighting so that as the artwork changes and evolves with the light throughout the day, it will also have a presence at night. I'd also like to add that the total square footage of the space enveloped by the Shadow Grotto project is equal to the square footage of the currently existing gazebo, so it will function as usable space for various community functions, from birthday parties, DJs and dance parties, yoga and Tai Chi sessions, etc. Next slide, please. So that concludes my overview. And to repeat the recommendation for your action today is that the executive director of the Commission of the Executive Director of the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture accept the final artwork proposal by Kate Clark in fulfillment of the City of San Diego's collecting mission, collection scope, and accession criteria. And I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for your presentation. Just your love for this work always just shows every time you do this presentation. So thank you. Commissioner DeZenzo, you have actually we are doing public comment and then the vote and then the motion, and then we'll go comments from commissioners, right? I'm looking at Belle, heads up on that. So any public comment on this, Belle?
To those members of the public in attendance, please raise your hand now to indicate that you'd like to speak. And seeing none, so if you want to continue discussion and then go ahead to a vote.
Commissioner DeZenzo. Commissioner, there's my technology again. Commissioner DeZenzo, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I just want to ask, by the way, this is one of the most beautiful pieces I think I've ever seen. And I am so incredibly impressed by this. But I just want to ask about graffiti abatement because it is white or, you know, pale in color. It is going to be, unfortunately, attacked by spray cans and pens. And I just want to know what plans are in place to take care of that situation.
Thank you for your question, Commissioner DeCenzo. We're currently working with the artist and who is also working with a conservator and developing a maintenance plan. The coding that the artist is proposing for this artwork is specifically designed to be easily maintained and also as well for graffiti to be removed easily so that can be addressed as efficiently as possible. And it is recognized that that we would want to come up with a really efficient solution to address that.
Okay, so we're not going to rely on the city to go and clean it up all the time. Is it going to be part of the, I mean, who's responsible for doing it? Like, is it going to be a city report, like a get it done report, and then it'll be taken care of? Or will there be specific people that are monitoring it, taking care of it?
It will be a combination of those things. Ordinary maintenance is usually handled by the asset owning department, in this case, Parks and Recreation. So it's being designed so that minor issues can be addressed relatively quickly by park staff, and we're coordinating with that department on that. Extraordinary maintenance is the responsibility of the commission, and we work with conservators to address any major issues that may arise. I might also note that the perforations of the artwork, or so where the designs are being cut into the surface of the structure, will break up the space at reachable, or will break up the surface of the artwork at its reachable levels. So that will be another factor mitigating the graffiti. There won't be large surfaces for large tags, that kind of thing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Any other comments, questions? Again, type speak in the chat. Seeing none, I want to say thank you, Commissioner Frank, for your leadership with public art. Just lots of good stuff going on, and I know you are you're always a fan of this work. So I'm going to go ahead and see if anyone wants to make a motion to approve this recommendation. This recommendation is for the final artwork proposal for Mira Mesa Community Park by Kate Clark. Commissioner Whooper.
I emphatically move to make the recommendation to accept as stated.
Right on. Thank you. Commissioner Friedman.
Yes, I second.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. Commissioner Blevins, not here. Commissioner Brown. Commissioner DeZenzo.
Heck yeah.
All right. Thank you. Not official city language.
Yeah.
Commissioner Frank.
Yay.
Commissioner Friedman.
Yay.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yay.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Nuwana. Commissioner Poutre.
Yes, very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Schonbrun. Commissioner Schonbrun.
Yay.
Yay, thank you. And finally, Commissioner Whooper.
Yay.
All right. So Belle, if I am seeing right, this concludes action items. So I will respectfully step off the meeting right now and turn it over to the very, very able leadership of Commissioner Hughes. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for giving me a pass on this.
Oh.
All right, goodbye.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
So I am going to take over the meeting at the chair's request. Thank you all for your participation today. We are going to return to our regular scheduled programming with our presentations. So I would like to, let me just scroll for a minute here, folks. I would like to jump back on our meeting agenda to our presentations. And I would like to call on the Education Cultural Complex with Laura Koski, CEO and Executive Director of the San Diego Continuing Education Foundation.
Hi there. I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you for your gracious invitation and working out schedules. Thank you, Jonathan and Belle, Christine. It's good to see you and other friends. And I'm here today with my associate, Juliet Bautista. And in the audience is the fabulous Leah Goodwin. You will see her later on in our the wonderful video that will end this presentation. I was asked to do two things today in a short amount of time, and they are intertwined and separate. And I want to do both of them with you relatively quickly. For those of you who I don't know, my name is Lori Koski. I'm the executive director of the San Diego College of Continuing Education Foundation. And we support the mission of San Diego College of Continuing Education, especially as it relates to equity, opportunity, and removing barriers for those who want to be part of our communities and our learning communities. Juliet is going to move the presentation relatively quickly today, and I'm going to spend the first few minutes on the San Diego College of Continuing Education and the last few minutes on the Educational Cultural Center, and with an emphasis on cultural. So Juliet, shall we move forward quickly? San Diego College of Continuing Education is the fourth college of the San Diego Community College District. This is important to you because we are the city of San Diego's college district. We have 4 colleges: Mesa, Miramar City College, and the San Diego College of Continuing Education, where we have 7 campuses. Those of you who have seen our beautiful campus in Barrio Logan have driven by it or gone into it and says, oh, this is part of City College, but it's not. It's part of the College of Continuing Education. And I hope that you have a chance to go see that beautiful building. It's our latest, and it's done by a local architect with so many secrets. San Diego College of Continuing Education has 7 campuses. We rim the city of San Diego. And what is so special about us is every single class at the College of Continuing Education is free. Our Chancellor, Carlos Tortes, likes to say it this way: free, free, free. That means that anybody in the city or the county of San Diego or all over California can take our college online or in person and can have a free learning experience, particularly of continuing of career technical education. So you'll see we have many offerings. Really important is our high school diploma and equivalency. We have a college that's dignified for people to come to. There's lots of ways to finish high school. And if you are a 22-year-old or a 35-year-old, it's really important to do so because you need that high school diploma in order to get into your career. And we present it in the most dignified and efficient way for people. We have 70 free short-term programs. People can finish our programs in mostly less than a year. And here is the offerings. And we're going to go through each of the slides really, really quickly. And as you see all the classes, I want you to remember one thing. Every class is free, free, free. It doesn't mean that there aren't expenses like in bake shop or in culinary. People have to pay for knives, and welding people have to pay for their PPE gear, and automotive people have to pay for tools. But we also have so many programs where we assist people who don't have the means to support to sort of join our classes. We have all sorts of ways and all sorts of programs, including complete wraparound scaffolding for people to persist, and lots of assistance with financially and every other way. Even though our classes are free, our students still have to live, they have to persist, we have to help remove the barriers that stop them from succeeding. So you're seeing now the classes and what's offered in each of the programs. You can see these are very sophisticated. People can take these classes in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, multiple certificates, multiple licenses, and they can enter into a career of their choice. And not only that, but they can start in one area and say, wait, I don't really like the sight of blood. Why am I in the healthcare programs? Why don't I go into the culinary department, or why don't I go into clothing and textiles? So people can experiment with who they want to be in their professional lives when they come to the College of Continuing Education. And didn't you all see that professional bake shop? Of course, everybody wants to be tasters for that class. These are really important because, as you can see, these are very high wage jobs. In addition to offering these skilled and technical skills, we have programs supported, for example, by the state of California, where we're doing pre-apprenticeship programs in the construction trades. You know that joining a union construction trade is one of the best ways for people to work with their hands, to have a meaningful career, a high skilled career, and a career that is exceedingly lucrative. For us and our students, we think of it as initiatives to end multi-generational poverty. English as a second language is critically important, and we can move on from there too. You'll see that we can do that in different ways. We also have the biggest department of students for disability support programs, including the only advanced brain injury program in the country. People come from all over the country when they've had a brain injury to work with us, to study with us, to regain control of their lives. You can only imagine how wonderful that feels. And of course, there's a emeritus program for people like me and some of you on this call in art, drama, music, law, and the retiree, which is amongst our biggest. These programs are amongst our largest programs because people in San Diego want to be able to continue learning, to be lifelong learners, and we offer that opportunity. We can go next. So that's the school, the College of Continuing Education. And now I want to move into our flagship campus, which is one of the things that I was invited to talk to you about today, is the Educational Cultural Complex. I hope that you enjoyed the very few minutes about the College of Continuing Education, because we are the best kept secret in San Diego. San Diego, the Educational Cultural Center was developed by Model Cities and founded in 1972, and the construction was finished in 1976. For those of you who don't know what Model Cities were, just jot it down. I don't have time to share that with you today. Jot it down and take a Google of it. It was really an intense initiative in the city of San Diego in the 1970s. So much of the Educational Cultural Center was organized by the fraternities and the sororities. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and Zeta Sigma Lambda Foundation organized most of the major events that took place at first, especially the Martin Luther King Day Jr. weekend in San Diego. Dr. Reverend King was a member of that national fraternity. We are the home for Common Ground Theater. It was initially founded as the Southeast Community Theater in 1963 by Mr. Rufus DeWitt, who some of you may know, and Dr. Robert Matthews, who was our founder. It is one of the first African-American theater groups in the country, maybe the first, second, or third in that very small group that has contiguously provided theater for San Diego for all these years. In 2004, the group was renamed to Common Ground Theater. Also, the Ira Aldridge Repertory Theaters, players who some of you may know very well, led by Calvin Manson, who was the artistic director, with a mission to touch lives by telling stories that portray experiences in our African American community. You've already seen some of the stellar individuals that came to ECC. Shirley Caesar performed in 1985. Coretta Scott King joined us and delivered a very important consortium at ECC in '85. Stevie Wonder performed a concert, and if you have a few minutes and questions and answers, please ask me about what happened when Stevie Wonder came. That was in 1986. Maya Angelou came to ECC in '87. Reverend Jesse Jackson, you saw, delivered a speech here in '87. Beautiful, beautiful Mamie Till, the mother of Emmett Till, gave a speech also at ECC in the '80s. Muhammad Ali, you saw his photo, came to us as well. There were many, many events that began, that created ECC as the seat of the civil rights movement here in San Diego. We don't think of San Diego as having such a illustrious civil rights history, but we did. The California Commission to establish Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a federal holiday met at ECC. At one time, we had a breakfast cafe, and the who's who of the community came every day to work on the mission of civil rights in San Diego to our campus. San Diego annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day parade happened at our campus and was seated there for many, many years before it was moved, as you know, to the harbor front. San Diego annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day parade pageant, which was hosted by both the sororities and the fraternities. That always was held at the ECC Theater until COVID. It was held there annually. And now, because of our renovation that you'll hear about in a moment, where it'll come back again post-renovation. The San Diego County annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day Education Recognition Breakfast Reception that some of you probably have been to was also always hosted at ECC. The San Diego Multicultural Festival also was started by the faculty and students and staff of ECC, and every year San Diego College of Continuing Education at all of our campuses hosts a many, not just one, Black History Month celebrations. Our most important ones take place at ECC, and you'll see at the very end, there is an invitation for you to join us on the 28th, Monday, for our annual first big in-person event at our campus, of course, outdoors, Black History Month celebration. What I'd like you to see right now is just a fabulous story that was presented at on Super Bowl Sunday, Channel 8, and it is the story of ECC and what are our goals for the very near future, especially as it relates to our theater renovation and our Civil Rights Museum. So I hope that you have just a few minutes to watch this.
You know, San Diego's role in the civil rights movement may not be widely known, but there is a community college theater in Mountain View that's hoping to change that. They've hosted legends in the fight for civil rights like Coretta Scott King, and they want to make plans to turn that legacy into a museum for the future. CBS 8's Heather Hope has their plan.
We're inside the Educational Cultural Complex Theater, and if this stage could talk, oh, the stories it would tell. And the most important story is this theater's role in San Diego's cultural history. Nestled in Mountain View on Ocean View Boulevard, the San Diego Community College District's College of Continuing Education was once a hub for civil rights activism in the 1970s.
I didn't know to the extent of the history of this institution. I grew up 2 blocks down the road. Definitely upgrade the technology in the theater as well.
Andre Lucas, Dean of Career Tech at the Educational Cultural Complex, can't wait for major renovations to take place at the college's theater, which hosted Black legends in the civil rights movement.
There should be a holiday for a Black American.
Coretta Scott King, they held a convention here where she spoke to the community. We've also had individuals such as Jesse Jackson, Muhammad Ali grace these halls, and that's something that we want to preserve.
Preservation will start with much-needed upgrades to the theater.
We definitely want to make this more ADA compliant.
A $35 million state grant will add new seating, lights, and new technology to best host San Diego events.
There just isn't a venue south of the 8 to host some of the events that you would see above the 8 freeway.
Just being inside the historical building.
This place brings a lot of wonderful memories.
Actress and historian Elise Smith Cooper performed on the ECC stage alongside Whoopi Goldberg and James Avery in 1976. She lives down the street from the theater and is now writing a book about the history of the Educational Cultural Complex.
And the Educational Cultural Complex was the mind child of the African American people in this community. Stevie Wonder came. He played in this very orchestra pit.
As the ECC Theater soon will be under construction, directly in a space in front of it.
So this is going to be the future side of our community room here at the Educational Cultural Complex.
The community room in the current arts and crafts classroom will be home to San Diego's first civil rights museum.
To encapsulate the past and build on that for the future.
We decided to make it the living leaders.
Poet Leah Goodwin has already designed a civil rights exhibit in the halls of the ECC.
Most of these people inspired me, lifted me up, pushed me forward, told me their stories. This idea with the gallery and the exhibit here would be that we actually have the civil rights story with the lens of ECC.
Making the Civil Rights Museum a reality will take time and money. The interim president says the museum price tag is $10 million.
We anticipate that will allow us to really build out the space, make it a very attractive space, give us the flexibility to have both displays and meeting rooms.
Creating a museum to celebrate and chronicle San Diego's activism alongside a historic theater is a dream come true for Elise Smith Cooper.
I'm stuttering saying it because it kind of brings hot water to my eyes. I mean, who would have thought?
And the construction timeline is fluid, but the theater renovation is expected to be completed by year 2024 and the Civil Rights Museum by year 2025. Heather Hope, CBS 8.
Isn't that an inspiration? I watch it all the time and I'm so incredibly inspired by that. I can tell you that we have gone in our efforts to move the renovation quickly, we have a very short timeline with the state of California. We have to be completed by June of 2024. Just think of that. This kind of big project completed by in just about 2 years, 2 years and 3 months. We have picked the architectural firm HGI. They have lots of experience working with theater renovations, and we are very excited to jump into this. I will say that when our school closed 2 years ago, we had our event for Coretta Scott King Brunch. I hope some of you were able to join. There was a photo of, I think, some of your commission on there. And when we closed on June 8th, the day after our event, and no one got sick at our event in 2020, we were so sad for so many reasons, right? But even then we were sad because we had just put up the fantastic civil rights exhibit that Leah Goodwin curated for us and presented and organized for us. And we thought, oh my God, what's going to happen? We didn't know that we would be closed for so long. And lo and behold, 10 months later, we became a vaccination center in Southeast San Diego. And that exhibit has spent time with thousands and thousands of San Diegans who came for their vaccinations. And then, of course, after vaccinations, they had to sit, and it provided something for them to look at and something for them to learn from. And so what was really one of the saddest aspects for us of closing our school has become one of the most gratifying, because people would never have seen these exhibits if they hadn't been part of our immediate community during this time. So we are so grateful to Leah for giving us the learning that we still provided as a community, even during the time of COVID. And we are just about to open our institutions up in March. We're hoping all the way for the first time in 2 years. So here is our event on February 28th. I know I spoke so quickly, and I come from LA, not even New York. But I wanted to give you I wanted to fulfill the 2 charges I was given today in the time that was allotted.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that presentation, Dr. Koski. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions about the ECC? Commissioner Friedman.
It's wonderful. I've never heard of this really before, but is the SDCCE primarily an African-American institution, or does it service other ethnic groups? It seems very heavily African-American in this presentation. And I was trying to figure out, is that because it's African-American History Month, or the college is primarily geared for the African-American community?
That is such a great question, and thank you so much. I was asked to really present on ECC, and that was built by the African community in the heart of the African American community historically in San Diego. We have 7 campuses. We serve African American students are among our population, but we serve all students. We have a high number of students that are Pacific Asian, also students who are of Latinx background. So our schools are all over San Diego. Mr. Freeman, we have one in Kearny Mesa, we have one at Miramar College, another at Mesa College, one in City Heights, which is heavily focused toward refugees and immigrants and English learners. We have one in Point Loma, which is heavily focused toward culinary, and our Barrio Logan campus its heavy focus is in the healthcare careers. Somebody can come and learn and be a nursing assistant, get a licensure for the state of California. We have the highest rate of passing for the state of California. And of course, everyone is always welcome, of any ethnicity or any diversity is welcomed onto our campus, and I think feels welcome on all of our campuses.
Thank you.
And I see Commissioner Jackson, you had a question.
Hello again, everyone. I have to hop off to teach momentarily, but thank you so much for the presentation. This is so long overdue for San Diego collectively. It really is. With other work that I do outside of San Diego, this is the normality. So it's good that we're on board as the 8th largest city in the country. But I do have a question before I do go. Is there any way that we can get a list of who's on the committees in reference to who, the structure of the committee, who's on the committee? Yeah, and thank you for the timeline too, but I'm just personally curious to know, what voices are actually there for such a huge movement in San Diego, because that's extremely important as well.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson, that you're absolutely Right.
Not doctor, not Dr. Gina.
Okay. Okay, Miss Gina
Speaking
Jackson.
into existence, though. Okay.
Okay, into the world. So absolutely. And interestingly enough, it was only 5 years ago that we activated a historic preservation committee. Carlos Cortez, who is now our chancellor, was at the time president, and he was walking by all those sculptures you see were done by students in our welding department. And he would walk by a sculpture and say, I'm going to do something with it. And the sculpture instructor said, oh, they've been saying that for 10 years. They've been saying that for 15 years. And finally, Leah Goodwin and I were able to raise funds, and we were able to put these sculptures into our campus. It looks absolutely beautiful now, and that is with the help of our Historic Preservation Committee. So I will definitely send you the roster of, I'll send Belle the roster of the our Historic Preservation Committee, and you are welcome to join. It is mostly community leaders as well as those of us on the inside of the institution that are part of this really wonderful committee.
Thank you for that. You know, I also teach at City as an adjunct too, so very familiar with the whole structure of the district.
Then you must join, and you are drafted because I can find your email address.
You really can. Okay, so on that note, okay. Thank you. And I do have to hop off to teach my high schoolers. So have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. And just for the record, wanted to note that Commissioner Frank had to leave as well. Belle, do we have any public comment or questions?
Yeah, it does look like someone in the audience is raising their hand. So if any members of the public would like to comment on either of these presentations, please raise your hand now to indicate that you'd like to speak. And Leah, I'll go ahead and allow you to talk.
Greetings, commissioners and friends. Thank you for bringing Dr. Koski in on this. Now, you know, she's very humble, but it was her heavy lifting that wrote this grant to the state so that our theater could be the state of the art. Now, this is really the only community theater in the Southeast community. And I know Commissioner Friedman was asking that. It is primarily the Black community, and this theater has been home to 3 or 4 theater companies and has been supported also, and has supported Teatro Scali, as well as Pasacat and others. So it's a gem in our community, but it will really be a gem after the renovation. And the stories are not told. And that's why the museum will be also a very exciting point. So many heroes and sheroes and great things happen in our community. Also, I know that you have been hearing the rumblings of creating a Black Art and Culture District, and we will be a little bit on the peripheral of the heart of the district, but we plan to be the hub and the theater space for that. Maybe we'll come back more at a later time when things are to share that with you. So anyway, I thank you guys for wanting to hear this story and for knowing this story and for all the work that you do.
Thank you very much, Leah. That is wonderful to hear your comments as well. Any of my fellow commissioners, any last questions or thoughts? All right, seeing none, I'm going to move us along.
Thank
Our
you.
next person.
You're on mute, Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you for that. Sorry about that. So I'm going to move us along. Our next presentation is brought to us by Susanna Pedro Swap, founding and executive director of Vanguard Culture, here to discuss Envision 23, a 2-day urban takeover spearheaded by Vanguard Culture. Ms. Swap has over 20 years of experience as an arts administrator, actor, jazz vocalist, and arts advocate, as well as public relations specialist. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I'm going to share screen here. Hope you all can see it all right. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Susanna Pedro Swap, founder of Vanguard Culture. We're a 501c3 that works to advance San Diego's creative industry workforce. We provide award-winning arts coverage, professional development for creatives, and unique cross-industry events that encourage collaboration and bring diverse communities together. The project that I'm presenting for you today is called Envision 23. It's an urban art takeover that will take place over Labor Day weekend, September 2nd and 3rd next year along the Broadway corridor downtown. This 2-day art takeover aims to invigorate and energize the downtown area with inclusive and diverse multisensory interventions in designated public spaces, empty storefronts, and shuttered buildings that sit empty due to the pandemic, and to highlight San Diego's powerhouse creative industry workforce. The festival is envisioned as a recurring event and will be an official part of the Home 2024 World Design Capital celebrations. Our top goals are to secure San Diego's reputation as a cultural destination and bring meaningful TOT dollars back to our city, to showcase a diverse range of creative talent from both sides of the border, and level the playing field by curating experiences that encourage collaboration between established art institutions, up-and-coming arts organizations, and individual artists across a multitude of industries. The event will take place right at the heart of downtown San Diego's Broadway corridor from Kettner Boulevard to 4th Avenue. So far, we have received support from City Council President Pro Tem Steve Whitburn's office with an expressed interest in helping to fund the event. We've also secured support from the San Diego Downtown Partnership, who have generously introduced us to dozens of property owners along this corridor and have attended every single meeting we've held with them. We're incredibly grateful for their support. They've also offered financial support to help offset the costs that property owners may need to incur, such as security, cleaning fees, signage, etc. At this time, the 3 venues that are most likely to participate are Spreckles Theater, the Sophia Hotel, and the Emerald Plaza Hotel. And as mentioned earlier, we are very happy to share that Envision will return the following year to be a part of the official Home 2024 World Design Capital programs. The type of funding that we would be asking from the city includes funding for 15 to 20 temporary art installations or interventions at $1,500 to $2,000 each, to endorse it as a city-sponsored event, help reduce the red tape and assign staff to help move the project forward internally, facilitate regional partnerships to help enhance the event's ongoing scope and visibility, provide in-kind day of support by SDPD, EMTs, Park and Rec, MTS, etc. Provide access to the free downtown transportation via the FRED or the circuit for those who are mobility challenged along that corridor. There you go. And as everyone in this room knows, studies repeatedly show that cultural tourists spend more money and stay longer in the cities they visit. In fact, the average spend is 60% more compared to the traditional domestic leisure traveler. So as you know, this increase in revenue doesn't just benefit the arts community, it benefits the region as a whole. San Diego needs a biennial cultural attraction that will support our creative industry workforce while bringing meaningful TOT dollars back to our city. So what makes us think that we can do this? Well, we've done it before. Envision 23 is an expanded version of our recent takeover of the Idea One building downtown, in which more than 80 artists transformed 15 condominium lofts and common areas with immersive visual, performing, and culinary arts experiences, all themed around the 5 senses. This event was entitled Sensorium, and it included fashion shows by Fashion Week San Diego and the San Diego City College's Special Effects and Theatrical Makeup class. It also had 7 culinary pop-ups, dance performances by Malashok Dance, PGK Dance, San Diego Dance Theater, and the California Ballet, large-scale video projections, and much more. The event was featured on the National Geographic Channel. So why? Why are we doing this? First, I'd like to ask you to take a moment and just think about some of your favorite cities around the world. What do they have in common? Do they have a downtown area like a Times Square, for example, that is vibrant and infused with unique visual, performing, and culinary arts for both tourists and locals to enjoy? Does San Diego have that? The answer is both yes and no. We do have world-class arts and culture here in San Diego. It's just that it's very disparate. There is no united force that can bring international attention to the region's broad creative sector. You have to get in a car and drive all over the county to experience it. But what if we could showcase the immense creativity of San Diego and Tijuana's film, theater, dance, music, and visual arts community all in the same place at the same time? What if we could take that energy, that magic, and digitally capture it What if we could use that as a tool to help rebrand San Diego as a cultural destination on par with some of the world's most exciting cities? Envision aims to do just that. So Envision would be the beginnings of a cultural tourism initiative that could put San Diego on the map as a cultural destination and bring meaningful TOT dollars back to our city. Vanguard Culture is the only organization in San Diego who regularly taps into cultural partnerships across all creative industries to produce inspiring and meaningful cross-industry cultural events. So these are all photos from our urban art takeover of the Idea One building downtown. Here are our community partners. As you can see, they're some of San Diego's most notable, most innovative arts organizations. Again, cultural tourists stay longer and spend more money in the cities they visit. The average spend is 60% more. In 2023, the Broadway corridor will experience a major rebirth with the newly completed renovations of Spreckles Theater and Horton Plaza and its adjacent outdoor park. By gathering San Diego and Tijuana's creative community in a shared space along the heart of downtown, we will be able to create a suite of digital marketing assets that help promote San Diego as a cultural destination for an international audience attending the Home 2024 World Design Capital celebrations. We would also, of course, share this digital content with participating venues, the City of San Diego, Port of San Diego, County of San Diego, and the Airport Authority for their marketing needs. Today, we are not just asking for your moral support. We are asking for your participation. If you would like to get involved, if you can introduce us to a property owner along this corridor who may want to participate, or if you know of a company who may want to sponsor the festival with financial or in-kind support, please reach out. We know that with your support, this event could be a catalyst for a meaningful transformation of the Broadway corridor downtown and the city as a whole. And that is my presentation today. I would be delighted to take any questions or comments.
Thank you so much for your presentation. What an exciting and vibrant experience you are planning on putting together. I think that this group as a commission is always excited to see the cross-pollination of arts organizations and different art forms. So thank you very much. I see that Commissioner Schonbrun would like to make a comment.
Yeah, this is so exciting, so impressive, and I want to be a part of it. Is there any way, as we did with the last project, if we could have contacts and materials or info sent to all of the commissioners so we can participate in some way if we choose to? So Reza, is there any way that we can be getting this information sent to us?
Yes, of course. I'll send it right after the meeting.
Thank you, and congratulations on your hard work. It's magnificent.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And then Commissioner Friedman, I saw that you wanted to.
Just quickly, can you tell me when you say this this festival, if you will be downtown, where downtown? Is there a region? Is it East
Yes,
Italy?
I'll show you. It's
Italy.
I'll show you. It is along the Broadway corridor between Kettner Boulevard and 4th Avenue. So the Downtown Partnership and I took a walk down that zone and identified spaces that would be ideal for either projections onto buildings, storefronts, empty buildings, where you could either have an experience on the outdoor plazas or inside of the spaces. And Horton Plaza Park will have this wonderful outdoor convening area where people could convene and the festival would culminate in that space. And I'll mention also that we are very much aware of COVID protocols. We don't know what 2023 is going to look like at this point. We're hoping that it's a non-issue, but all the same, I think a lot of people are not as comfortable as they used to be and being in crowds of thousands of people as we used to be. And so the way that we're doing this is in like a round robin style where you buy a ticket for a slot. And so that you will have museum docents that are going to take you on a tour with groups of 25 at a time from space to space to space, and then the next slot comes in and so forth.
Great. And last but not least for me, I am certainly assuming that you have a really strong strategic marketing plan to raise awareness for the programs for this festival. Am I?
I'll say yes. We have a marketing team that we are putting together, both internal with our Vanguard Culture team and as well as external people. Some of the members of the design team from the World Design WDO or WDC World Design Capital team are actually on our marketing committee, and they've allowed us to use their logo and their branding to help propel this forward. So they will be a support system for us.
Thank you.
But if you'd like to join that, you're very welcome to.
Thank you.
Excellent. I know that Tracy, sorry, Commissioner DeCenzo had one last comment, and then we do need, just as an FYI, we have lost quorum. So we're going to have to end the meeting and table all future business. So Commissioner DeCenzo, I'm going to ask for your last thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I really enjoyed this. It's actually really exciting. I noticed that a lot of these are going to be in venues. Are there going to be anything, or is there going to be anything that's left in the public right away, or things that are long-term that the public, can see outside of those 2 days?
The Downtown Partnership has been asking us that question, if there would be opportunities for things to stay up on storefronts, for example, longer, since they're not being leased anyway. I think we need to play that by ear because it's really a funding issue. We have about $30,000 of asks out right now to help fund this project, and so we're waiting to hear back on that. We currently have enough funding and manpower to transform 15 spaces. 15 locales, 15 spaces for the 2-day period, with the understanding that it's a temporary installation or a temporary experience. And I'll say too that we don't produce events that are, we wouldn't just put like art on the wall, for example, and say that's our installation. We always try to create experiences that are meaningful and bring people together in unique ways that they never would have experienced on their own. And so, for example, you would walk into a room, if we did have an art installation, we've brought on as a part of our curatorial team this wonderful woman named Malu, who's a electric violinist slash projection artist slash DJ sound producer. And so she would be actually transforming the soundscape for every room that you walk into. Every room is going to come with a mood and its own lighting that you experience. And this is all, this is why I'm coming to you all, because we have the funding to produce the thing. But what we need is that additional oomph, that extra, your connections, your support, your, visibility on the website, any way that you could help us take it from where it is now to something extraordinary and something that would be a recurring event that brings back, as I've been mentioning, TOT dollars back to our city. Or as you know, our arts community has been devastated throughout the pandemic, and we're trying to reinvigorate this community that has suffered so much throughout the pandemic, and bring attention to them on an international scale.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that presentation. I, for one, am very excited. With that, I'm going to call this meeting to a close. We will table all remaining business for future discussions. Thank you all for your attendance today. Thank you, staff, for putting this together. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care, all.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.